The member for Murray.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Agriculture and Water Resources. Will the Minister update the House the contributions of Australia's dairy sector to the Australian economy? What are the obstacles to the viability of this industry, and the jobs that it creates for the hard-working Australians?
The Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I thank the honourable member for his question. Note that dairy farming in Shepparton accounts for 22% of Victoria's dairy production and is home to 1,040 of Victoria's 4,711 dairy farms. Australia's dairy industry is a $13 billion industry and manufacturing and export industry, and over 6,000 Australian dairy farms produce close to 10 billion litres of milk each year. It's good to note that after the dairy crisis and working with the industry, that prices are now starting to rise again, and Fonterra's price is over $5 a kilo for milk solids, and it's also noted that the price for Murray Goulburn is raised to $4.95. So we had a substantial increase in the dairy price. It's also interesting to note when the price under Labor was vastly lower than what it was when we called it a crisis, that the Australian Labor Party did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So the direct impact of what we're seeing, though, in Victoria's Labor's 40% renewable energy target is driving up the costs for electricity producers. Electricity is such a vital component of the production in dairying. We have seen it with their dairy sheds, in their refrigeration. Every section has had to deal with it. We've noted that with one producer, with some of the producers down there, they've noted in Vic Feeds operations, a family-owned stock feed pellet manufacturing mill that supplies dairy farmers in Goulburn Valley and the Gippsland, they're looking at a 151% hike in the cost of their electricity in the next 12 months. 151% hike. And of course, you cannot just keep putting those costs onto business. If you put those costs onto business, the businesses will go out of business. And this is based on, and what we now have with the Australian Labor Party is they're mimicking their state colleagues in South Australia, and we know what the result of that is. We don't have to model what happened in South Australia. It's there for everybody to see. It's a complete fiasco. It's creating immense pressures on business. It's driving people out of work. It's driving manufacturing out of the state. And now we have the Australian Labor Party, who seem to not really care about labourers anymore. Because what this will mean, unless they want to change their policy, is they're going to stand behind a policy that they will do to the Australian Commonwealth what the Australian Labor Party has done in South Australia. Now, it's interesting today, and it's been worth noting, that the member for Maribyrnong, the leader of the opposition, has no interest of coming to the dispatch box to defend his party's policy. He's very interested in writing on a piece of paper. He's very interested in not looking at the cameras. He likes to look down, but he doesn't like to look at his own policy. But I think the Australian people want to know what he has to say about his own policy. The Australian people want to know what is going to happen to Australia
the Deputy
under
Prime
his
Minister's
policy,
time
rather
has
than his notes.
expired.